Okay, hello. In this video, I'm going to show you the basics of how to get your AR art animation running in Adobe After Effects. We're going to basically create it kind of off of the trigger image. So this is going to be just a real basic walkthrough through the process. There will be a couple other specialty items and features that we're going to cover in other videos, but this is just a straight run through kind of how this project will go. So to start off, you're going to need your trigger image and whichever images that you want to kind of add into your animation. So for my trigger image here, I have this lovely landscape. It's also 800 by 600 pixels. You don't want to get too much bigger than that because you're going to run into some file issues with the AR software. So it's going to be a little on the smaller side, and also you want to note the actual dimensions of this because you're going to use it later. We're going to go ahead and start up After Effects. So here we are, we're going to start a new project. And in here, we're going to start a new composition, just as we did before. So the composition is going to be test one. You can see here the width and height. You want this to match your trigger image. So it's already set to that because I had been working on this before, but you want your width and your height to match your trigger image width and height down here. So we're going to click OK. And you can see here that I've actually got, usually it turns into a black screen, but I've actually got it set to show things transparent. And the way that you do that is there's a little checkerboard button down here. And we're going to deal in another video with some fun transparency stuff, but not in this one. So you want to go ahead and make sure that that's black. And then once you're all set up with that, you're going to drag in your trigger image into this project window. And the same with any other images that you're going to use for your animation. So I've got my background here. This is my trigger image in the project window. So I'm going to drag it over to the composition. You can see it's appeared here and also down here in the timeline. It's appeared as a layer. And also I'm going to add in a little lobster. Oh, he's a big lobster. So I'm going to size him down. There we go, just by using the little anchor points on the side. So I'm actually going to do something where the lobster is going to come down from the top, do a little twirl, and then go down to the bottom. And by starting and ending off screen, it's basically going to be an easy way to create an endless loop. So that's what we're going to do. So we have the lobster up off the frame. We're going to go into the lobster kind of settings here. So you want to go down to the lobster layer and then click on this little arrow and then click on the arrow next to transform, just like we have done before. And for this, I'm going to be changing the position and the rotation. So you want to click on the position stopwatch and the rotation stopwatch. You can see over here that you've got some keyframes that have appeared. And I'm also going to make this animation a little bit shorter. I'm just going to make it 10 seconds. So I'm going to grab this little blue bracket and bring it all the way in here so that really it's only these 10 seconds that the animation is going to run. So I have the lobster up at the top. He's keyframed to be there at the top, or I'm sorry, at the beginning of the animation. So now I'm going to grab this playhead here and I'm going to move it out to about 10 seconds to the end of the animation. And then I'm going to drag it into its end position, which is going to be down here out of frame. So basically, if we drag the playhead back and then hit the space bar to play, you can see that right now he's just going to slowly come down. And then he's going to end up off screen. And then if that would loop, he would just basically continue to keep falling. And there he goes again. So I'm going to hit the space bar to stop. And then I'm going to add one more thing about halfway down. I want him to twirl around a bit. So I'm going to click on this rotation and then go up to your rotation tool right here, which is a little arrow in a circle. And then I'm just going to drag this guy so that he is flipped right here. So basically he's going to come down and flip. And then I'll set him to rotate a little bit more at the end so that he keeps twirling. So he's doing kind of a fall and twirl. I don't know why he's doing this. This is just lobster life at Lake Tahoe. So there he goes. That's what I'm going to run with for my basic animation for now. Yours will obviously be a little bit different. But once you're finished and you're happy with the animation, go ahead and save your file. We should have done this at the beginning, really. But let's go ahead and save our file as Lobster Lake. Save it as whatever you want. And then we're going to actually go ahead and export this movie. It has to be done in a certain way. So be sure that you've clicked on this composition window. You see this little blue box around it? That means that it's currently active. So you want to make sure this composition window is active. And then go to File and Export and Add to Render Queue. This is going to bring up a new window down here. This is your render queue. So basically this is just the exporting option, and we want to export this out as a MP4 file. So the way that we do that is, I believe, where are my little settings here? I'm sorry, I had this before. We're not exporting to there. I'll try and edit this out of the final one. All right, so I'm actually going to try one slightly different method. I'm going to click on this composition window again, and then I'm actually going to go to the export and then add to Adobe Media Encoder queue. And so that's actually a separate program that you're going to download from Creative Cloud, and it's just basically a little program that exports videos for you. So we're going to let that boot up. And as soon as it's exported, it should pop up over here on the queue. And yes, I believe this is the correct way. So apologies for that. Yes, go ahead. Okay, so right now we have test one, which is our animation over here. And if this is set to anything other than H.264, you want to click on this arrow here, and you want to set this to H.264, because we need what's called an MP4 file specifically for the software, and this is the setting that's going to generate that file for us. So you want to click on that, make sure it says that, H.264. You can do this whatever you'd like, really, to make it easiest, just do match source hide bitrate. And then also the other thing to keep in mind is that we're trying to get our file under 100 megabytes. It needs to be under that file size. So you also want to set your location to export to if you haven't already. So I'm just exporting it into the AR test folder. And then once you're ready, you want to hit this green arrow, and it will process and export your file. Okay, so there we go. It's been processed. So now I'm going to check in my folder here, AR test. Now we have test1.mp4, which is the correct file type. You can see down here that it's 4.5 megabytes, which is awesome because we need it to be over 100. And then if we open up in QuickTime and have it play, we can see this animation that we started. So this is basically how you make your MP4 file. If you then go to my other video about how to upload the still file and the video up into Artivive, you can continue the process from there. But this is just how you get that video ready and do some very basic animations with it. Check out some of the other videos. Hopefully we'll be covering transparency and then some specific animation techniques. If there's anything I haven't covered, please let me know or shoot me an email. And that's it. That's the end of the video. I hope this was helpful. Goodbye.